Number 48, Cody Rader. And number 55, Soren Thrall. Head coach for the Wildcats is Bob Felter. For Apple Valley, number 3, Devin Roberts. Number 5, Sam Arndt. Number 12, Michael Madison. Number 13, Merrick Tagui. Number 18, Justin Daly. Number 20, Luke Martinson. Number 23, Nicholas Christofferson. Number 27, Tyler Kim. Number 29,
Some days.
DJ Everson.
Most days.
I think the kids don't know much about him either, man.
And number 31, Thor Oss.
I don't know.
Head coach for the Eagles is Phil Hutchinson.
Decisions and things that you're watching. It's like, dude, you know,
Our national anthem was played before the girls' game.
something.
No, I would.
Jeez, we're on.
They already did the. They won't do the national anthems that we just said.
Yeah.
They did it before the JV girls game.
Are we? We're not.
We're ready to go.
Okay.
Hey, all right, ladies and gentlemen, in the technical universe, this is Scott and Ken here. We're at Apple Valley Stadium on this Thursday night. Much different night than Tuesday weather-wise. It's Apple Valley Eagles hosting our Eagan Wildcat lacrosse team. This is Ken. I got Scott to my left here. Our good friends from Eagan TV are here helping us out with the broadcast tonight. Scott, we're in the face-off circle. We're ready to go.
Yeah, tonight. So we had a kind of a big emotional game win on Tuesday night. Big thing here tonight is how do you come off of that? You're maybe playing an opponent that's not as strong as Tuesday night. How do you get up and get ready for this and get ready to play? It can be a danger to come down off of a big win like that, a last-second win over a ranked opponent.
Yeah, that was a big win. We had everything from somewhat inclement weather to technical failure with the stadium lights. It was a back-and-forth game, and something that we'll touch on later, it was not a complete game for the Wildcats, and we really haven't played a complete game yet this season, have we?
No, it feels like we've played 3 quarters. I had Cole Gibson on the first goal there. A nice low shot to put the Wildcats up 1-0. Took a feed there, a couple steps to his right, and put it behind between the Apple Valley goalkeeper.
So we talked earlier before the broadcast about where we're at in this still relatively early season, and the Wildcats have shown a lot of instances where they have scored goal after goal. The passes have clicked, but they've also had quarters where they did not put out their best effort, Scott.
Yeah, it just, it's part of, we've talked about over the year, it's a young team, a lot of new players up on the varsity level, and they're kind of getting to know themselves, and we talk a lot about them establishing a rhythm and an identity, and in the process of doing that, you have a little inconsistency. So, as the season progresses, hey, let's see if the Damian Schultz on a goal there, a little bit of a wraparound came from behind, put the Cats up 2-0 1 minute into the contest. So, hey, one of the keys to the game for the Wildcat is to start fast. don't let Apple Valley stay in this game. We believe that from a talent perspective, Eagan has Apple Valley overmatched. So start fast. Hey, the last game was great. Big win. It's done. It's over. Got to move on to the game at hand. So like what we see so far with a kind of a quick start to establish that lead right away and establish position to be in so that we can, dominate the game here.
Back in the face-off circle, looks like it's Pavic taking that face-off for the Wildcats. Big save by the Eagle goalie.
It's number 14. Brett Mickelson, a sophomore goalie for the Eagles.
Apple Valley unable to clear. Schultz with possession, unable to keep his feet, but he's looking up the middle. Quick
nice
one.
Quick feed, and Jack Stone
with the very
completes
quick
that.
shot. So we're going to get a lot of opportunity to see face-offs, and we have talked about face-offs all season. And so far tonight in the face-offs that we've seen, they haven't been clean wins, but they've gotten the ball in a position where our LSMs can get in there. And I think in that last game we ran like a dual LSM. We only have one out there now. Looks like it's Gallus on the sideline opposite of us, but. The Cats are still finding their mojo in the face-off circle.
Yeah, and we need all the repetitions and practice we can get. Hey, we went up against a pretty top-notch face-off specialist Tuesday night. Peter Carlson, I believe was the young man's name. His face-off percent for the year is up to 76, which is remarkable. We had some challenges, right? And so our task tonight will be a little easier on that front. But we got to get repetitions.
That's Colbert from Stone.
Yep.
Again, as you can see, we're moving the ball well. A lot of passes in tight. So a game like this, Scott, again, we're 2 minutes into this game. It's 4-0 Wildcats. What purpose does a game like this serve? Because it will serve a purpose.
One, can you be crisp and sharp? Can you some of the technical aspects of the game? Passing, crisp passes, sharp cuts, running the offense the way it was designed, being sharp, being crisp, trying to be perfect. And that's hard to do in a sporting event, but this is going to turn into an extended practice, I think. So be sharp, be good, be crisp, make it a productive evening. Right now, the Wildcats are trying to build a lead here and put some in the net. I think when you build a little cushion, you set up and work on some things, work on the plays, work on the passing lanes, and again, take this opportunity to perfect those in a live game situation.
Well, we did talk about a busy week of lacrosse for the Wildcats with Tuesday. The Cougars out of Lakeville South visited Wildcat Stadium. We're here at the Apple Valley Stadium facing the Eagles. Tomorrow night we cross districts and go over to Simley and play the Spartans on their turf stadium. And then Monday we come back, Scott, and we play Lakeville North.
Yeah, that is a big game looming, and something both tonight and Friday night tomorrow against Simley. We can't think about North yet. You got to play these games. You got to concentrate at the matter at hand. You got to take care of business and do all the things you need to do. After Friday night, then you can start thinking about that contest on Monday and Lakeville North and what they bring. Hey, and in the meantime, nice rip there by Drew Wilson. Drew's got a hard shot, right? That's 90 miles an hour plus, and he can rip it and he can hit a really small target there. That's a lethal shot.
Opened himself a nice lane with that fake pass.
Yeah, that's
and then let her rip. And 5-0 Cats. 9 minutes 17 seconds remaining. Quarter number one.
So the North game, they too, like us, have some games before that. They host St. Thomas on Saturday afternoon. St. Thomas is off to a 5-0 start. North, of course, off to I think they're at a 5-1 at this point. So that'll be a big game. They have some matters to take care of ahead of us too. So Monday night's going to be interesting. But what I think is important and what you've alluded to, Ken, over these next two games is look good, look sharp, run the game plan, execute perfectly, and use it as time to prepare for that big game next week. the first big game next week.
Correct.
Because there's a second one later in the week, and we'll maybe talk about that later in the
Right
broadcast.
on.
And then there's another one in between those two too that we probably ought to not overlook. So
Well, and too, they're big games for the announcers as well. So we won't get out in front of ourselves, just like we're asking. We're hoping that the Wildcats don't as well, because, like Scott said, we got some big games coming up, but they're kind of interspaced with some more manageable contests. So, again, what do you do? How do you balance the looking about as dominant as you could possibly look when then you have to go out and face a really, really quality club like North, and again a couple other real tough ones that are coming. 13, Apple Valley Eagle with a bounce shot, just got over the right shoulder of goaltender Zach Wallach. It's 5-1 Cats, 8:13 remaining quarter one.
that was Merrick DeGuria, a senior. He is the leading goal scorer and point getter for Apple Valley coming into the game, number 13, a senior midfielder. Came into the game with 8 goals and 4 assists, and he's just added 1 to his total tonight. So when you get in a situation like this where the ball's been on in Eagan's offensive zone for the largely first 4 minutes of the game, you come down, and I guess a thought that I had passed in my head is, defense is cold, they're not ready. DeGuy kind of snuck in, took a shot, bounced it underneath Wallach. Hard thing, in a game like this where so far anyways a good chunk of it's played in Eagan's offensive end. The defense has to – it's hard, right, to stay mentally prepared when you're right. And you see the 3 of them right now. If you can, they're standing watching their offensive counterparts move the ball around. But you got to be ready. And
you do, and in defense of that goal by the Eagles, it was a little bit of a fast break.
Yep.
The attacks were kind of spread out as the gentleman bringing the ball into the zone did so, and as such, he did kind of come in unabated. But 100% agreement. It's a common challenge in this sport. When you're dominant with possession, your poles have to stay fresh, and that's, I don't know that necessarily played into what just transpired there. Kind of a lucky bounce. It just bounced the right way. 6-1 Colbert from Stone at 7:41 remaining. Quarter one.
I believe that's their second connection of the night. That happened earlier in the game. Robbie Otto taking the face-off. As Ken mentioned earlier, there could be a lot of face-off opportunities tonight. Great chance for our face-off specialist to get some game work in, right? So Michael Pavic has taken the first group. Robbie Otto gets in there to get a look, and my guess is we may see a couple others too.
You'd almost think so. I mean, particularly since we haven't quite solved that dilemma quite yet. We've got 3 or 4 guys that we've seen. Nice stick up by the Apple Valley pole to kind of break that pass up.
Yeah, nice defensive play. Cole Gibson was just trying to feed it across to an open Drew Wilson, and the player got their stick up. I like the thought. Almost connected there. Eli only picks up a ground ball. And
finds Whips. So, yeah, you're going to see a few people in the face-off circle. I think tonight I thought I saw Otto out there, but
yeah, he took the last one. He took the last one,
yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. So it should be kind of by committee, and again, a great opportunity to get a few people out there, given the fact that there should be multiple face-offs tonight.
And we're quite a distance from the sideline, and our eyes are getting aged here. I can't see if Patrick Ryman is dressed and over there or not. If he is, I would expect he might take a few face-offs tonight. Errant pass there. Apple Valley will take over. So, as Ken said, we've seen Pavic, we've seen Otto. If Ryman's dressed, we will probably see him at some point. Max Meekin's taken a couple face-offs earlier in the year. You talk about some of the skills, and there's a myriad of skills needed to be a successful face-off specialist, but hand strength, hand quickness, and coordination are a ton of them. And Max Meekin's a pretty great athlete, right? A 3-sport athlete at Eagan High School, football, hockey, and lacrosse. That's unusual and rare in this day and age, but it just speaks to his general all-around athletic ability. And, again, his job on the team is as a midfielder, but it seems like he might have some of the skill set that could help him be a face-off person, too, on occasion.
Well, and then, too, we've we've talked about it extensively, how important that aspect of the game is. It really doesn't matter who can get the job done. If someone can, he may have a future in that role, at least this season, because it's going to become abundantly important down the stretch here.
Yeah, it will. And, we talked last night, Tuesday night. When you come up against the elite face-off specialists throughout both league play and into the non-conference play in sections and state, if we can get that far, which we all hope we can, if you come up against an elite one, try to win it. If you can't, you got to slow them down to prevent that fast break. And Peter Carlson exploited us a little bit, particularly in the second quarter on Tuesday night. So, again, great night to work on some of that stuff. Sales just wide. Eagan will take possession there. So Zach Wallach back in net in the first half tonight. He's got the call right now. We'll wait to see if Coach Felter alternates and puts Manny Steele in the second half or lets Wallach play out the game.
Yeah, nice look by Wilson, and then dished it off to Schultz and just off the mark.
Another pass intercepted there, trying to sneak one through the lane. The Apple Valley Poles got their sticks up and were able to disrupt that a little bit. Gibson comes up with the ground ball and retains or gets back possession for the Wildcats, gets a touch, and we'll let everybody reset here and settle down and get back to our plan.
Well, and again, too, as we head into some of these bigger games that are peppered throughout the schedule over the next couple of weeks, things like just basic ground balls are going to be very, very important.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw that, I think, in the second half Tuesday night. So after South scoring barrage in the second quarter, we held them to one goal. Mm-hmm. One goal in the second half.
And overall, it was not a very productive second half for both teams combined.
No,
I think they had all kind of like tongues hanging out from the scoring barrage.
Yeah.
It sapped the power to one of the light standards. The scoreboard was going off so much in the first half. But we've talked about it this season. Ground balls are not the flashiest stat, in the books. But, boy, are they important.
They are, yeah. And our guys were in that second half Tuesday night. We were picking up the ground balls. We were winning those battles, and that was how we were maintaining possession. And it was, I think, one of the critical elements to the second half comeback. Yeah,
we're going to flag down. Looks like Gibby on the slash would be my guess. Actually, it was a pretty effective stick check. It's a hold, if I'm not mistaken. So, Apple Valley will go man up, I believe, and could be the first infraction for the Big Blue tonight.
Yeah, probably a 30-second. Yeah, the 30-second variety hold.
30-second variety hold after what I thought was a pretty effective kind of reach in with the stick. Broke up that possession nicely, but Gibby will take a breather.
Yep. Oh, nice deflection there. That was Tommy Meisner that deflected that. Dolney picks up the ground ball and sets it back to Wallach. And got a little breakout going. Nice catch there. And, hey, 30-second penalty, get possession, move it into your zone, and our offensive zone, play catch.
And that's another something that we've noticed this year. We've talked about it. Getting possession when you're man down and just moving the ball around and trying to get out of that man down situation unscathed.
That's what Meakin's doing right now, just walking it around, and we're back at full strength. Sometimes teams try to get cute when they're man down, and I'm going to try and sneak a quick one in or something.
If it doesn't go well, then you turn over possession, of course, and which is what you don't want to do.
Picked up by Colby Sorensen. Tries to lob a pass over to Max Meakin, and it's going to just run out of real estate there. So Apple Valley will take over.
2:12 remaining quarter one, 6-1 Cats. We're coming to you live from Apple Valley Stadium. Tonight's boys lacrosse contest. Apple Valley Eagles hosting the Wildcats from Eagan. At the moment, 2 minutes remaining. Wow, nice little
nice push out there by Drew.
Absolutely.
And a good way to use the stick and the body and kind of realize the position your opponent's in there and take advantage a little bit. Oh, are they going to?
The ref didn't see it that way.
No, disagreement there.
Yeah, but a good way to use that sideline, of course. And
yeah, there's the field crowns, especially at that point, it really starts to drop off. And, if you're trying to balance yourself in, just a little bit of a push might take care of business.
Wyatt Bucky in quickly on the LSM, and nice interception, regain possession for the Cats. 1:30 remaining, quarter one, 6-1 Cats. Much warmer night than it was Tuesday night for us. We had a kind of a wet day, as we all remember, and it just kind of made for just kind of a chilly, damp field. The footing wasn't great. Quite a bit different tonight. Temps are about the same, possibly, but clearly the sun was out. Field is in as good a condition as it can be in, as a stick just goes flying through the air on the turnover. Looks like that's looks like Donnelly.
It's Rader carrying it up. Oh, he takes a shot. Ideally, you'd like your LSMs to distribute that ball a little bit, get it in the short stick or the deep hole, but not too often you're going to get a shot in that close, so you take it, right?
And a game like this where it isn't, it's a different set of circumstances than other games we might be in, and so I don't know that there's a lot of heads that'll be rolling for that shot. I'm sure we all would have loved to see Raiders score on that, so could have been a nice stick to the shoulder there. Wilson finding some space. He just gets mauled at the mouth of the crease, and it caught a crease violation, but it was not. He got kind of knocked down, and Cats will go out in the alley. Schultz up to Wilson, take it back out top, whips to Stone, and they'll reset. Oh, right off the post.
And we'll battle for the ground ball. It looks like Tanner Whips is going to pick it up.
That was my question, too, and I didn't see it on the sheet, so got it.
I'll go tell you. Can you take it for a minute? I'll go tell them.
Yep, so Cats with possession, and they're firing shots left and right. One just trickled through the crease, and that is the quarter. That loud noise that I wasn't ready for it. Would have been probably Apple Valley ball on the change of possession. We'll go to second quarter action here shortly, 6-1 Wildcats, and the shadow has kind of completely enveloped Apple Valley Stadium, and had a little roster update, I believe, in the box here. So the Cats go 6-1. Teams huddled up, kind of reviewing what went on, and I think the Cats probably did exactly what they had hoped to do in quarter number one.
Got out to an early, quick start, got a six quick goals. Things slowed down a little bit. So, ironically enough, this was the result at the end of the first quarter on Tuesday.
Yeah,
seems to be something we like to do. Again, good, quick, fast, efficient start, and it seems like things slowed down a little bit after that initial, say, 4 or 5 minutes or so. So, things looked a little less crisp as the quarter wore on. So, Coach Felter regrouped the Wildcats, and again, look crisp, look sharp, look efficient tonight. Look good, look like a championship caliber team. And take care of business here. So the administrative business we are taking care of. We saw number 10 on the field for the Wildcats, and we couldn't quite pin down who it was. It was Jack Hintermeister. So
nice.
This will happen during the course of the season where Coach Felter talks about this. There's some movement of players between JV and varsity. The normal process. This is kind of how the program runs. And Hintermeister is person who was started on the JV, and he is getting some varsity action tonight too. So that's what's going on there. So we got to come out moving, passing, flying, and get things done. We got Apple Valley with 1 goal, just a shot that bounced underneath or around Wallach, not a huge concern. Second quarter, work on the face-offs, try to win those, get possession, dominate those, and get the momentum going in that position.
Yeah, so, you mentioned, Scott, that this was a hauntingly similar look on the scoreboard. I would tend to think that tonight we are not going to run into a situation where there is a kind of a letdown or something. We've kind of, in the personnel department, we're a little better off than we have been in a couple of different games. We're much better matched tonight in the Apple Valley game than we have been maybe, say, Chan, Eastridge, and again, that Lakeville South team, pretty darn good club.
Yeah, they are. They are. That was a nice. It's going to be a turnover, but Otto won the faceoff and battled to get possession and get out. That's what we need, right? And yeah, South is that's a legitimate club, right? I think this people kind of raised their eyebrows a little bit with the result over Rosemount last week, and they're for real. And watching, there's a lot of discussion about the second quarter. They looked great. We maybe gave them some room to look great, but the fact is they executed. Look, that's Jack Stone battling through there, putting one in the net underneath the goalie. The fact is they took advantage of it, and they look great, that trio of attacks. Boy, I mean, and they're going to be watching the film, right? And, like, their coach is probably saying, this is what you have the ability to do, and if you play at this level, you're going to be playing deep into June, right? Defensively they weren't as strong, but boy, if you can get that trio of attacks, they had a midi that was Chase Levesque or Lekvy, I believe was the name. Again, and a face-off specialist like that, you can do some damage, right? Everybody they play should be on notice the rest of the year. I believe they have a matchup with Stillwater on Saturday. For them, how do they rebound? Tough loss, right?
Yep.
And how do they rebound and how they get ready for that battle? Stillwater's got a great-looking squad this year, which, again, a lot of people were kind of expecting, but then they've certainly delivered. They're undefeated at this point.
Well, and, to that South team, I mean, they lost, and in rough fashion, a long game, a lot of stoppages, light issues at the stadium, and then to get a buzzer beater, the Cats did. That's a tough loss. But, I think the Cougars, probably conceivably could say, we were probably more in that game than some people would have predicted, even though they came off the Rosemount win.
Yeah.
There was still, it's still believably so that the Cats, it shouldn't have been as close as it was. Let's remember, we were up markedly at one point, and then we had that meltdown quarter, which brings us to what we talked about earlier. We haven't seen it yet, and we're going to soon, hopefully, the complete game. By the Wildcats.
Yeah, we will.
4 quarters of lacrosse.
Yeah, and we will. And there was a nifty little goal there by Damian Schultz on a feed from Drew Wilson.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Damian kind of snuck in behind the defenders and got a look from Drew and converted it over to goal number 8 for player number 8. That was obviously well planned. That was part of the strategy and the game plan.
I think they had been talking about that on the bus ride over.
Yeah.
So 8-1 Cats, 10:45 remaining, quarter 2. This is Ken and Scott, our good friends from ETV. That's Eagan TV, taking care of us technologically up here in the press box and getting the signal out to the universe. It's very helpful. So here we go. Cats up 8-1, working our way through the second quarter, trying to spread it around as the Apple Valley team trying to set something up.
Yeah, number 9, Malik DeQuinn with the ball, a 9th grade midfielder. You look down this Apple Valley roster. There's a fair number of underclassmen, 3 8th graders on the roster, 7 9th graders.
Wow.
A young team, and this team lost 13 seniors to graduation last year. It was a team that went 5-8. When you lose a group of that many players, you're going to have to be in a little bit of rebuilding mode, right? You're going to have some young guys. You're going to have some new players coming up at this level that haven't been there. And, we've said before, these things don't just happen overnight. You don't just wave a wand and suddenly win 6, 7, 8 games again with players that don't, there's only 7 players on the roster that had varsity experience from last year. It's going to take some time when these players mature and grow into their game and they learn to play together. They're going to improve, right?
Well, and it certainly does. It would seem that with such a young team that we may be seeing a whole different squad 2 seasons from now when some of these guys mature and are sophomores and juniors with lots of experience.
Yeah, it's a couple things. It's number one, it's playing experience at the varsity level.
Oh.
Look, as a 14, 15-year-old, your body strength is a lot different than a 16, 17,
Absolutely.
and 18-year-old, and it makes a huge difference if you're battling a junior and senior laden squad. And again, these players, if they stick with the program, they're going to get there.
Yeah, you noticed that last offensive run, Gallus had brought it up and dished it off to Damian Schultz, who probably had multiple looks to the right of the goalie and dished it back out. The pass didn't quite connect, but kind of maybe indicative of the fact that the Cats are not just shoot, score. We're clearly in a mode right now where we need to maybe start looking at what can we do, what can we try to refine, because a game like this needs to have purpose. Even when you're up, markedly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what Damian was clearly thinking. Hey, I could have put it in. Let's bring it back out and see if we can find space.
Fantastic feed.
And that was a great feed to the middle for Gibby.
Gibson converts on that.
Gibson with the shot and the score, 9-1 Cats.
So if you look at, as we talk about different aspects of Damian Schultz's game, we talk about the hands, the vision, and the kind of field awareness, but his ability to feed and assist is pretty remarkable. If you find yourself on MN Lax Hub, you'll see him on the state leaderboard for assists. I think that might be kind of a regular place for him. I've seen a couple of examples of it tonight where he creates space, opens up the field, and feeds a teammate, and they convert. And that's it's something that the Wildcats are going to have to use and rely upon as they move down the balance of the schedule here. So again, that's not a clean face-off win, but we're in possession. Wyatt Bucky was able to pick up the ball that had popped out from the face-off. All right, so we're seeing looks like Coach Felter's rotating some different players into the game here. We've got Ben Willery, Matt Verbeck playing attack. Billy Diffley's in the game at, I would assume, midfield. Colby Sorensen taking the ball, distributing. And a nice finish there. That was Ben Willery. Oh, sorry, Jack Hintermeister. I'm sorry, number 10, Jack Hintermeister.
Hintermeister with the goal, the feed from, I just had it in my
I believe it was Diffley.
Yeah, it was from Diffley, I believe. So the Cats make it 10-1, just under 8 minutes, 7:54 remaining first half here in Apple Valley.
But Diffley with his height there can be even with that extended deep pull. If you're 6 inches taller than the man guarding you, you have that reach in that arm, and you can get up and make those more difficult passes. So nice recognition there.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting aspect of his game. If you remember back, his older brother Joey Diffley, also a big kid, but his wasn't a finesse height advantage thing as much as it was the fact that he could just. He probably outweighed Billy Diffley by 100 pounds. Yeah. So he clearly could just kind of lean it's almost like you're watching in the NBA, a guy just working his way into the paint. Billy's game, though, like we said, with that height, that's a great advantage. He sees what's going on around the net so cleanly. So great feed, great score. Cats, Soren Thrall, a push. 30-second push penalty. Cats will be the man down, bringing their man down specialty squad.
Yep.
See why Bucky out there, Meisinger, Donley, and Gallus are the long sticks.
You almost have I think by definition, Wyatt Bucky's an LSM, but he's sort of playing more of a defensive role on this team, but he's out there in the man down situations, and we give you a 3 LSM look in that man down situation, and all Gallus and Meisinger provide the speed laterally. Bucky with the field awareness and the vision, he's able to cover a little bigger area than one would suggest because of that field awareness and vision. So the Wildcats will reset here and let the penalty expire.
Get the poles back set. Cats with the shot and the score. It's Whips.
Tanner Whips.
Make it 11-1 Wildcats. 6:56 remaining first half.
So, one of the things, too, that comes out of the game Tuesday night, you look at, it's got to help your confidence. And I like the resilience that the Wildcats showed. They were up, they were down, and, the lights were out, and it was cold, and it was raining, and it was windy. And, look, it could have been easy to kind of pack it in, right? And like, geez, here we, they didn't. They were resilient. They came out of the halftime break and battled in the second half. Even when that game was tied, getting that game winner at the end, just a lot of resiliency, some stubbornness on their part, and that's good too as the team helps form its identity, because as you, Apple Valley on a timeout, as you move down the stretch, you're going to be playing in close games. And we've had a couple of experiences now in the Lakeville South game and the Eastridge game. And again in that Eastridge game, we didn't get the win, but they battled down all the way into the fourth quarter. We went on 2.5 quarters without scoring a goal. They got it together and were rolling, and we just unfortunately ran out of time. But they didn't give up. They kept battling. They kept at it. They kept attacking. And those are things you need as you start, making a run down the end of the season, talking about a playoff scenario and, hopefully the state tournament too.
Well, you clearly want to know what your motivation is in different instances. You clearly want to know how you're going to respond in different situations. Let me ask you this. Concerning, not concerning, quarter one against the Cougars, Lakeville South, and quarter two. Clearly two different Wildcat teams on the field.
Yeah. The face-off thing's a part of it, right? That's part. I don't think it's one answer. To me, it's multiple answers. The face-off thing's a part of it. The possession time, right? You got to give some credit to the Cougars.
I would agree.
We can't have this discussion about that and take credit away from them. And you can sit and talk all you want about, and we're going to talk about both sides of our mouth here. You can talk about the maybe the defense not aggressive, not the face-off. It's like, yeah, but you got to give credit to the Cougars. When I went back and watched the second quarter today, and it was like, whoa, they were flying. Yep. I mean, they were playing some good lacrosse. And so there's a number of things. And, a little concerning. You never want to give up 11 goals in a quarter. But you learn from that. There's some coachable moments from that. And I would imagine that whether game notes or video was being reviewed, Coach Felter had some poignant comments for his young team about what went on in the second quarter. And it's a teaching opportunity.
Absolutely.
When you walk away from it, it's a teaching opportunity. Because there's going to be people on the schedule coming up that have the ability to do that to you.
Well, then again, in hindsight, you have a season up to any point where it's without adversity, where it's without its challenges. You aren't setting yourself up necessarily for success when you get into a tight spot later in the season. So, the win was great. Working your way through the adversity. Again, you mentioned we did not get the win against Eastridge, but we bounced back and we played a tough team. We played them tough. Mm-hmm. And, again, we were up. We were no longer up, and the game went deep, and we wound up losing. But under tight conditions and after letting a lead slip away against Lakeville South, we did step up, and that shows some of the character that we're going to need over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Great play.
That really was.
So Hintermeister got the ball down deep to Ben Willery. Max Meekin was cutting the middle, a great feed by Ben. That was a nice lacrosse play.
That really
that was a great executed play, and makes it 12-1. I like that pass. Meekin reacts, cuts to the net. Willery gets the ball, makes a quick pass. Nice. That's a really nice lacrosse play.
Yeah, so 12-1 Cats, 6:14 remaining second quarter. But, yeah, that is an exact example of a positive thing that you can accomplish tonight. A great execution in game situation. They're going to remember that for the rest of the season, that look can be there for us.
Yep. Hey, I want to – you're talking about the adversity and the Eastridge, the Lakeville South games, and you talk about during a season being tested and having those things happen, having some close games and some battles and some emotional moments. I want to draw back to the 2017 season and the Eastview Lightning. So they went 13-0 during the regular season. They were ranked number 1 from day one until the end of the regular season. They really only played in one quasi-competitive game, and it was the matchup against Eagan at Eastview Stadium. Yep. That was a number 1 and 2 heavyweight bout, right? And Eastview kind of pulled away and took control of the game as it went on. They weren't tested. They hadn't faced that adversity, that tough loss. Is that Tanner Whips? Tanner Whips, the senior. And then they get into the playoffs, and they get to the section final. And they're in a 1-goal game with Prior Lake. Yep. And for the first time all season, they were in a tight game. They were facing some adversity, and Prior Lake wins the game. Yep. Look, you can't – they had a fantastic regular season that year. That team was talented, and they did some great things. But boy, had they maybe been in a couple close games, maybe. And on the flip side, that was Eagan's one loss that year. And I think if the players, the coaches, some of the spectators reflected back, say the turning point of that year for Eagan was that loss to Eastview. It exposed some things. Coach Felter and the staff regrouped, retooled. They won out their schedule and had a state championship in the middle of June. So sometimes adversity is okay.
Absolutely. No, again, you can't be a one-trick pony, and few teams are good enough where they can, never see adversity, without respect to what their schedule looks like. As Gibson picks up the ground ball and a quick dish. Oh, big save.
Oh, it looks like the goalie's got an issue.
That was maybe a pretty solid shot, probably to maybe the upper leg, just above the knee possibly. Could hear it from here. I don't know that he saw it coming.
No.
He may have dropped the stick. It was a real pass and a quick kind of an underhanded shot, and it got him pretty good. We'll hope that he'll be able to bounce up here quickly, but it's still a little chilly for a ball that's constructed like a lacrosse ball to be launching into your quadricep like that. But that's where I think where it got him.
These goalies are, I'm going to say they're crazy. They have a helmet and a thin pair of shoulder pads and gloves, and that's all they wear. And, folks, that lacrosse ball is hard, and it's round, and it comes flying through the air, and it hurts, and they're unprotected. Hockey goalies are covered head to toe and stuff, and these guys go out there and they're completely exposed to that, and you take a shot in the kneecap or the quad, that's going to sting.
Yeah, it's
right?
He'll have to shake this one off. I don't know the requirement. He can shake it off and stay between the pipes or not, but he definitely is feeling that one, and I think that he's going to probably be able to step it off pretty good. Looks like he may walk off for a minute, so we may get a little bit of a delay as the crowd responds accordingly. We may get a little bit of a delay while we quick warm somebody up just briefly.
That's Brett Mickelson was the sophomore in goalie, and he'll step off for a while here. It looks like he is walking off under his own power. Hope the young man just has a little bit of a sore leg, and there's no ill effects after tonight. Maybe an ice pack will be the treatment required. That's what we can certainly hope for. That puts number 23, Nicholas Christofferson. He's a 9th grader in the game. If you recall, he was in for the first sequence, then he left the game when Mickelson came in, but he's back out there now, and he's
making the most of his first possession.
Oh, yeah. Costly. Nice anticipation there. Looks like that was Cole Gibson anticipating that pass. Gets a feed to Matt Verbeck, who puts it home. It almost looked like a defensive back there. Gibson kind of broke and sprinted towards the pass and had a clear path to, the goal in this case, and was able to feed Verbeck, who was streaking towards the net.
14-1 Wildcats with that last maybe little miscue by the freshman goalie. 4:46 remaining first half, and this game is probably kind of playing out much like we had hoped, of course, and given where these two programs are at, probably like to be expected. I mean, Eagan has a lot to prove. They've had a season of, kind of some ups and downs. The record looks pretty good at this point, and we are moving into the nice meaty part of our schedule over the next week and a half or so.
Yep. Patrick Ryman got in as we suspected. Took a face off there, got a win.
So
that's our, again, I would think throughout the game we'll probably see a rotation of the three guys who we expected. Ryman, Otto, and Pavic, and that, I believe, was Tanner Whips that got
Whips from Diffley,
or was it Stone? I couldn't see.
No, I think it was Whips from Diffley.
Okay.
Kind of a nice little underhanded ground ball shot. 15-1, 4:14 remaining. First half, folks. We're winding this down here shortly. Lights are on. Some big cumulus-like clouds catching that sunset behind us to the west.
Yep. Hey,
temps-
the sun came out today.
The sun did come out today.
Wow, yeah.
We deserved it from Tuesday night.
Oh,
of course, we
yeah.
were in the box, but it was chilly.
Hey, it's not warm tonight by any means, but you know what? The sun is out. It doesn't. There's a light breeze as I'm looking at the flag at the south end of Apple Valley Stadium. Again, sun's out, no rain, light wind, got a temperature of 50 degrees. That's all right. Hopefully tomorrow night we'll take a look here at the forecast and see what we got coming, but so certainly supposed to be a nice weekend.
You know, flag down, probably some sort of a push or something. I know Donley, who had the ball, lost the ball, regained the ball, was the recipient in a rolling, kind of barrel rolled across the grass there. Cats will maintain possession here as we have a penalty upcoming. We're about 3:30 remaining first half. Cats starting to look. Whips with a big shot. Oh, that was 23. That'd be
Jack Thompson.
Jack Thompson, thank you. Play will stop. Get the call here. Going to hold. 30-second holding penalty against Apple Valley. Put the Cats in a man-up situation.
I believe that's the first time tonight the Wildcats will be man up. We'll get their man up crew on the field. And 30 seconds. Let's see what we got here. Again, chance to execute in an in-game situation here with a comfortable lead. Moving the ball around, waiting for the right look, patiently moving. And the Wildcats rotate in a little closer.
There's that shot to the middle. Stone with a shot.
Yeah, they were clearly looking for that look in the middle there, and Cole Gibson couldn't quite get it off. Smartly pulls back and redistributes. Wilson with a rip. And
yeah, those are we've talked about this. That is a rocket.
That's a hard shot. Yeah, he is. That's one of the harder shots you're going to see around the state, I believe. We certainly haven't seen everybody yet, but that is a nice looking shot. One of the reasons Drew will have the opportunity to be playing at Long Island University next year. We talked about that earlier in the season, and number of tools in his toolbox. That hard shot certainly being one.
Scoring for Eagan, number 13, Andrew Wilson. Assist to number 8, Damian Schultz.
Another assist for Schultz.
Goal 906. Wilson from Schultz.
So 16 goals tonight for the Wildcats. They've been spread out. Looks like Ryman's going to get that secondary face-off win as he's trying to look, again, maybe a little bit of an inexperienced mistake there as he felt a little pressure as he was running it in there, looked for an outlet pass, and there wasn't a whole lot to look at that point.
No, and, Ryman's a ninth grader. We typically, in recent years and in the program, we don't see ninth graders. Typically, we don't. Again, maybe just an inexperience when you're moving from 14A last summer to varsity.
Yep.
What you can get away with at 14A, you can do that. He's building experience and learning. So next time it's like, okay, that option doesn't work. So what else can we do?
Just double back and be patient. He clearly has. He's shown some promise in the face-off circle.
Yeah.
He's taken them tonight. He's taken some in every game, to the best of my recollection. So while we flush out, who it's going to be, or who at least is going to be on that by committee situation, I think Ryman's done a nice job of making a strong case. I remember in the St. Thomas scrimmage.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
He did a fantastic job, made a strong case for himself as the big guy. I think, who's that, number 27 possibly?
Tyler Kim, right?
Clearly outweighed the pole that him and the pole made some heavy contact in front of the net. I think that got a little ooh and ah out of the crowd there.
Tyler Kim, a member of Apple Valley's wrestling squad. For those that aren't familiar with the wrestling scene here in Minnesota, this is the program of programs.
It is.
There's some elite wrestlers coming out of this program, and what a great thing to have a couple of those guys, Tyler Kim being one, Brady Gross the other, coming out and taking a part of the lacrosse team. And look, Tyler Kim, a big guy, showing his athletic ability, right? Was shot there by, I believe that was Matt Verbeck. Stopped by the goalie.
Diffley, a little body action there. Again, still throwing the body around. And comes up with the ground ball, looking. Just missed Gallus.
Joey Gallus was like, I'm going to look like an attack tonight. I'm going to streak to the goal, and I'm going to get one of those cool feeds and jump in the air.
It was just.
I hope the photographer's going to be in the right place. And
just a little behind him, and you see his reaction. Like, are you kidding me? I was wide open. Even with that 9-foot stick in his hand, he could not haul it in. Great tenacity though by Diffley to continue to throw the body and create some space for himself and get the ground ball.
Tyler Kim there maybe using his hands a little bit too much. Wrestling season's wrapped up, but he's a strong. You can see it when he was battling for the ball. He's a strong kid, really strong kid. Goal there, Ben Willery.
Yep.
Nifty little move, finishes it off.
He took it around behind the net, and, based on the movement that the Cats have done with the ball over the last, quarter as we go to 17-1 Wildcats, 41 seconds remaining first half, I think everybody's on alert, thinking that this ball is going to be dished off, and he looked, and then made the wraparound and the shot score. So, when one thing's working effectively, teams have to give respect to that. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about how Drew Wilson or Damian Schultz or, at this point, maybe 2 or 3 other guys draw a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. And as such, you get other guys that get great looks.
Yeah, and it's about, one of the things we've talked about throughout the season is how do you get those other scores and how do those guys, nice shot there by Jack Stone, simply runs it in, nice athletic shot, good move. 17-18 on the board. We're just 27 seconds shy of halftime. A little more offensive output than I would have thought. It was 6-1 at the end of the second quarter. What we felt it was our turn to have a double-digit quarter, and we've have done that now.
We clearly have.
Yeah, 12 goals in the second quarter. So.
Number 5, Jack Stone, unassisted. Time of the goal, 11:33. Stone.
So, again, like we talked about earlier, Ken, lots of face-offs tonight. 21 face-offs. Again, getting a lot of people the opportunity. Patrick Ryman took another one, got a win there.
Nice.
Just as often moves off the field. Stone with a feed to Verbeck. Couldn't quite connect and finish that one. Apple Valley keeper comes up with it. And that'll end the first half. So we have the air horn up here at the booth next to us, which you may have picked up on the telecast.
He has an air raid siren.
Yeah, apparently usually they're in the scoreboard or out through the speaker system. But, hey, this works too. I think we particularly can hear it, and that's all that matters,
clearly
right?
Can, exactly. So here we go, end of the first half, 18-1. The visiting Eagan Wildcats on top. First half comes down to a close. And, Scott, any surprises in the first half?
No, there's not. Like, Wildcats came out of the gate looking crisp, got a quick, 6 goals, put their imprint on this game, said, hey, we're here to take care of business, and we're going to do that. 18 goals in the first half. No real surprises. You're just seeing a young team in Apple Valley that, there's some work to be done, a lot of youth on the team, not a lot of experience returning from last year, and this is the nature of what's going to happen, right? So, as we go into the second half, you're up. You got a comfortable lead. You're going to win the game. But you got to stay engaged. You got to stay sharp. You don't want to develop bad habits in the second half of this game that lead into Friday's game and that carry over, most importantly, into Monday's game.
Now, what do the Eagles do coming out of the halftime down 18-1? Do they? I mean, what is the body language going to look like, and what do they say right now at halftime about what they're going to be able to do to stop the bleeding, if you will?
I think the coach has to keep his young team engaged because it can get discouraging. And, we've seen tonight some drop passes, some not being able to handle some balls. And just remind them, go back to the basics. Play catch your passes, make smart heads-up plays. Don't try to force dumb passes. Make smart passes, be patient, work the ball around, take your time. They really haven't had a chance to set up and play offense yet. And they're just kind of watching the Wildcats right now and just get back to the basics. And, his job right now, that coach, is as a motivator. Like, keep better days are ahead, right?
Absolutely.
And better days are ahead by getting back to the basics,
Yep.
right?
And they clearly are with such a young team. So, folks, it's 18-1. We got about 5 minutes left in halftime. Your announcing crew and the ETV guys, we're going to take a little break. We'll come back at you for quarter number 3. We're in Apple Valley. It's 18-1 Cats, boys lacrosse. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ken and Scott, our good friends from ETV to my right, taking care of our technological stuff. It's the second half, 18-1 Wildcats in the face-off circle. Looks like that's Pavic who's trying to get the ground ball. Turns up like it was, I think, get a flag down already. That was Whips with the ground ball. Must be an Apple Valley.
Wyatt Bucky with
Wyatt
the shot
Bucky
there.
with a big shot.
Our LSMs want to get in on the action tonight. That was a good pass there. Bucky just couldn't get a handle on it, and the Wildcats reset here as we start into the second half.
Yep. So we come out of halftime. We talked a little bit before we went to break about how the both teams have things that they need to accomplish. The Cats have to understand where they're at and execute and make good use of their time. And by the way, we are in run time, folks, with the margin right now, and that should do it for the. There's be a stoppage in play here, and the Eagles need to also look at the scoreboard and not get too discouraged.
No, you got to play the games when you're in a situation like this. You know, work on the basics, do the simple things right, and hey, when you're learning the game, learn from playing a good quality opponent and watch what they do and try to mimic that. As this is a young team we talked about in the first half, as they grow into themselves over the next 1, 2, and 3 years, as some of these 8th and 9th graders become juniors and seniors, there'll be better days ahead. So a 1 minute, I believe, a slash on the Eagles. Got Drew Wilson pretty good. Jack Stone with a shot.
Yeah, from the top there. Yeah, we've done just about everything we've done so far in this game has gone our way as the clock continues to run. 10:20 remaining third quarter, 19-1 Wildcats. Yeah, this was one of those games again where you don't know if you always want it to be this one-sided for anyone's sake, but clearly the Cats are probably trying to take advantage of the fact that they've got like a kind of a live game. They can execute plays and strategies in a game situation.
Yep. You're not playing against yourself, but against an opponent, referees on a visiting field. You want to look sharp. You want to get those things looking crisp. Take advantage of this. And, again, we mentioned a little bit in the first half, but it's kind of like extended practice here right now.
Jack Stone with a nice ground ball and kind of that secondary plus face-off win. The Cats have done a pretty good job as a big shot from Whips. Cats will maintain. Schultz will bring it in behind the net. Cats have done a nice job of trying to play the ball out of the circle if they can't win it straight away, and they haven't won too many straight away, but they are doing a pretty good job of getting it to their LSMs on the ground. And, again, that's where those critical ground balls as Wilson circles really come into play. Oh, he looks in the middle, and that ball did not get to Stone, but, boy, what a nice try.
Another a nice breakup by the Eagles. We saw a couple of those in the first half, and again, you got to, as a coaching staff rep, you got to draw on the small things. Like, hey, we did some things good, and we got to keep doing those things. But again, look for the Wildcats here to get ball back and just get a chance to run that offense and work on those passes and work on that movement.
It looks like the Apple Valley goaltender that took a wicked shot to the quadricep, we believe, is back. Oh, no, he's not. It looks like I was looking at that number 27, the wrestler. I had mistaken him for the goaltender. So it is still the freshman goalie. So that shot to the leg in the first quarter when the Eagles were defending the opposite goal from which they're doing now, that may have done it for him tonight. So took it up in the lower body.
Ribs. That doesn't. That's not going to feel good.
That's a tough one. So a lot of soft tissue, above the pelvis and between there and the ribs. So
you're vulnerable right there. And
clearly, wish him the best. He's not going to return most likely now, and probably rightfully so. 20-1 run time. 20-1 Wildcats. 7:40 remaining third quarter.
Interesting in this game for all the contact, the stick contact that's allowed, and the goalie's injury, Mickelson's injury is making me think of this. But quarterbacks were like a rib cage protector, a flak jacket. It's like, boy, it's something, and there's something about the game here, the pride and minimal equipment, right? And it's like, oh man, you'd think that would be a piece of equipment that some players would wear, but certainly possibly in the box game you're seeing a little bit more equipment being used, but in field, gloves, a helmet, elbow pads, and I don't even know if I'd call the shoulder pads.
Yeah,
There's really not much to them.
In the several years we've been involved in the sport, we've seen a lot of the equipment shrink. I wouldn't call them pads in some instances. And I get, as far as the goaltenders are concerned, kind of the movement issue and trying to minimize the ability to move freely, et cetera, with 6:40 remaining third quarter. But at the same time, we've discussed these balls are very solid. They're coming at a high rate of speed, and I don't know that some degree of protection wouldn't necessarily prevent an injury, of course, and not at the expense of mobility.
Yep. Boy, even Ken, the gloves are short. They barely get to the wrist bone. And again, if you're familiar with a hockey glove that goes a little farther up the arm, offers more protection. There's, again, with the slashing and the stuff there's the stick contact, that's a legal part of the game, that you have a lot of exposed spot.
Sure.
And, some of the guys are wearing, particularly the attacks and the middies, they've got a little bit more protection from the elbow pads that they wear, but there's still a lot of arm left exposed, and it's part of play in this game. You're gonna have some cuts and bumps and bruises, and we've seen some interesting ones over the years, and the kids are tough, right? They have to be.
Yeah, apparently so. It's 22-1.
22-1.
Yeah, with 5:30 remaining, Apple Valley still maintaining possession. A little bit of an extended possession here for the Eagles as they're moving it around. Not a lot of dramatic personnel changes as you look across the landscape out there. It looks like about guys we've seen on the field at any given moment tonight for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and I would expect Coach Felter might go, as he did at the end of the second half, he went much deeper into the bench, and I would think that'll happen again as we get into the fourth quarter.
Well, you want the guys that you're depending on to be fresh, and but you also want next in line to have some game experience as well. Kind of an unforced error. Just under 5 minutes remaining. Soren Thrall will take possession and find Manny Steele, the senior goaltender, who will look up and find, dumps it off to number 3.
Colby Sorensen.
Colby Sorensen, who gets it out to Rader, who is bringing it in and gets the touch for the Wildcats.
So Manny Steele got the nod in the second half, and I think we kind of had an inkling that might happen with the nature of this game, that Coach would have, split the goaltending duties in this game. Again, trying to really evaluate. That was Max Meekin.
Yeah, Meekin with
worked his way in there.
Really nifty move, kind of threaded the needle with his body. 4:15 remaining, 21-1. Flag down, probably some sort of a push after the fact. Seems like that's a pretty guaranteed. Here's a no goal, maybe.
Oh, maybe a crease violation potentially. He was in, and he might have fallen into the crease, right?
He may have, yeah. The
flag. That's a no-no, right? Even after the continuation of the shot, you can't put your feet in the crease. Slightly different rules than some other sports, but it's a hard. You're going at full speed, and you think you didn't get in there, and you did, and again, not going to impact the outcome of the game tonight.
Yeah, clearly not.
Needless to say, the goal gets waved off.
Cats moving it around.
Wilson with a shot. An assist to Jack Stone. There's the 21. Nobody in the crease that time.
No, the crease was empty minus the goaltender.
Eagan will be man up again. Okay.
We're under 3 minutes.
So the clock's running here, again, running time, so we're already ticking down in the third quarter. This half's going to go pretty quick, much quicker than we're used to. So we're winning. It looks like we're getting the better of the face-off, which is encouraging. Not the same caliber of face-off specialists as Tuesday night, but boy, developing that confidence, that repetition. we need all the work we can get, and it's great that we're gonna 25 face-offs tonight.
Yep.
24, 25, something like that. So,
Right.
boy, that practicing game is critical, and something we're certainly looking to develop as a team.
2-minute warning, quarter number 3, 21-1 Cats on top. Oh, a little bit of a turnover there. Freshman goalie for the Eagles with the ball. Now they're trying to clear that ball. I don't know that they're in a failure to advance mode yet. Now a little bit of a breakout as the poles for the Cats had gotten up to the center line.
Oh, a slip there on the field. Again, maybe that the grass is getting a little damp as we get into the evening.
Yeah, maybe so. Whips with the scoop, but they're going to call a hold or something and a flag for his objection.
Yeah, there was a little jumping up and down there. We don't know if there was words spoken, but yeah, sometimes the emotion gets the best of you, right?
Well, and I get it. That's we do get it. It's just that.
30 seconds for conduct.
Yeah, conduct penalty.
Yeah.
So either the jumping or maybe some words were said, but
Well,
yeah. Okay.
I and again too, I don't know. It seemed like it was a fairly fortunate turn of events for the Wildcats as Whips kind of took advantage of the poor footing by the Eagle, and then to have it kind of whistled dead. Maybe I would have objected, a little bit as well. Apparently the ref wasn't buying it and decided to have him take a little 30-second breather.
We'll get a little work here in the defensive zone. Never
Sure.
a bad thing, right? Practicing a little man down.
And the Eagles have had an extended possession just a few minutes ago. Big shot just to Manny Steele's right. Eagles will maintain.
Okay. And
We are winding down. You blink and it's under 10 seconds, and you're going to hear the air siren here in about 4 as we're going to the fourth quarter. 21-1 Wildcats in a very crisp and quick third quarter. Scott, that running time will get you to the end of the quarter in a hurry.
boy, it goes fast. You don't realize when there's stop time and there's all sorts of things going on what that lacrosse quarter actually looks like. And when you just let it run, things go pretty fast,
They
right?
sure do.
Not a whole lot to say about the quarter. I think in the fourth quarter here, Coach Felter will get a lot of players in the game like he did in the second quarter, get everybody a chance to get some work here tonight. And again, just keep being crisp, keep looking sharp, keep the focus on that, and wrap this one up here. We'll 12 minutes ticking down to the end of the game, and be moving on to our next contest. Hey, one thing we're seeing tonight, and this theme has come up before. Can we get balanced scoring? Can a lot of guys contribute? And again, we're seeing that tonight. I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's 21 goals. I think there's been 7 goal scorers or 8, probably 8, possibly. I'm not sure about that, but we like to see that. We like to see that distribution of scorers, and that's starting to evolve here as the season progresses along. We're at Game 6 tonight. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
This season goes so fast, and we'll be at our halfway point at halftime tomorrow night of the regular season. It's hard to believe. It feels like we just got started, and we're talking about being halfway home here. So
Well, and here's the important aspect of that. You have so little time to get your team from winter, JV and varsity prep leagues outdoors to start actually getting work outdoors. To get yourself ready for the first game of the season, you blink, you're halfway done. This year, not unlike recent years, we were caught in the gyms, we were caught in the domes.
Yeah.
And so we're a little bit further behind. We're used to it, of course, it seems like, with a grass field for our home court, much like the Eagles here and a few other teams that are still playing on natural grass. But again, it's a short season. It is about who can get out early, much like a game, and it is about who can peak at the right time. So you don't have to run the table once you get rolling. You have to peak at the right time.
Yeah, we've talked about that throughout the season, in a number of situations, and, we were alluding earlier about Eastview's 13-0 season coming to an early end in the section final 2 seasons ago, and the teams that are peaking in June in the first, second, and third week of June are the teams that are going to make a run. That was that 23, Jack Thompson?
Jack Thompson with the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Great shot there. Great shot there by Jack Thompson, the junior midfielder for the Wildcats.
Well, when you have a team that can exhibit bouts of hotness and bouts of coldness, you start to think, hey, we just got to be hot at the right time. You know, kind of feeding into that last narrative about peaking at the right time. Clearly, you could be cold at the wrong time, but you could have a season like the Eastview team did a couple years back, where they just win. They got into a situation where they maybe hadn't been accustomed to being, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had adverse games. We've come from behind. We've had leads get away from us. We've played under different conditions, weather-wise, under different conditions, stadium-wise. I mean, this team is kind of becoming a well-rounded team, and the record still is favorable. With the personnel, people are executing and doing what we need to do. I think this is a team that's clearly, looking like they may be putting themselves in a position to peak at the right time.
Yeah. Things have to come together, and the season's long. You got to stay healthy. You got to be crisp and sharp, and a number of those things. And we'll see here. We're going to learn a lot over the next as we get into next week. We talked about the Lakeville North matchup on Monday, Shakopee Thursday. We host Benilde, St. Margaret's on Saturday. So
that's a week of lacrosse.
Yeah,
for this club. It really is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think we're going to learn a lot over the next week. How does this team respond to that level of competition? Lakeville North, pretty good record so far. They have one loss on the season. Pretty impressive so far. A good, well-rounded squad. Getting some communication from our executive producer, who is not on site tonight due to the presence of the ETV crew, and he's letting us know what's going on where he is.
Yeah, we've got
the great Kevin Sorensen.
A couple of our key members of our broadcast crew are with us in spirit, and they're on travel, some to the south, some to the north. We know where the rubber meets the road. The broadcast team, the voices of Eagan Lacrosse, are here in the box, again, courtesy of our good friends from Eagan TV that will be with us tomorrow night, coming to you from Invergrove Heights, across the border of Eagan, from the Simley Turf. Will be going on the air, I believe, for is it an early game?
It's a 6 o'clock game.
6 o'clock game tomorrow night, I believe. So we'll be on the turf and under the lights at some point, but a nice crosstown battle. And again, Scott, a little preview. I don't know a ton about that Spartan team, but clearly we should be able to go in there and hopefully get ourselves into execute mode again.
Yeah, I think so. And I haven't done a lot of research yet. Jack Thompson with the second goal. Colby Sorensen on the assist on that goal, our 23rd of the night. Again, I think they're a team that's 2-3. They haven't, haven't played a top-notch opponent yet. So again, we'll see. I think it's a thing where you got to go in and execute and get the job done and get the W. So, switching gears a little bit as we wind down here. So coming up this weekend, we have some big games going on around the metro area tonight. Going on right now, Eden Prairie and Wayzata are playing. Eden Prairie's elevating themselves, showing that, hey, maybe we got to be part of this conversation too. Their lone loss coming to Minnetonka. Wayzata's lost some games. I believe they have 3 losses, but those 3 losses are to Eden Prairie, Tonka, and White Bear, which is surprising. Wayzata is a team who will peak later in the season. We've seen that the last couple of years, so a big matchup there tonight. Looking ahead this weekend, Prior Lake and Benilde, that's the game of the day on Saturday, by far a rematch of last year's state championship game. St. Thomas, Lakeville North, and a big matchup, Stillwater and Lakeville South, so it'll be interesting. We'll learn, again, a little bit as the season progresses, who's making a statement and moving themselves forward as we reach the midway point of the season. Hey, shout out to Chelsea Sorensen watching the game from Gaffney, South Carolina, and the Conference Carolina Championship. So a big shout out to some of our fans and viewers, not only here in the upper Midwest, but across the country and, dare I say, around the world, because I believe we'll have a viewer from Canada tonight too. So
absolutely, our neighbor to the north.
Yeah, international. You know what? That Canada's international, right?
International. Our ratings are off the hook right now. 6 minutes remaining in this high school league lacrosse battle. Apple Valley hosting our Wildcats 23-1. Again, we've been with you now for the last hour and a half or so, and we've watched the Big Blue do a fine job of not getting out of their lane. They knew what they were probably up against coming into it. They've executed, and again, as Scott was mentioning earlier, we've got a full complement of games coming up for the Wildcats with Monday's game. Not to go past tomorrow night's contest against the Spartans.
You can't do that.
No,
Not
you,
at all.
you can't.
No.
But we've already kind of broken that game down a little bit, and next week is kind of the triad of big games for us. And like Scott said, we'll get a chance to see how this team can respond under different situations.
Right, and it's not it's not just next week, because when you look into what really happens with the Benilde game, so you got next week, and then immediately the following Tuesday you go to Rosemount, Thursday Eastview, Tuesday, that following Tuesday, May 21st, you host Prior Lake at Wildcat Stadium. In that stretch of games, you've got some great quality opponents. The South Suburban Conference is strong this year. At any time, 4 of the teams are in the top 10 of the state. It's a big test, and the Wildcats will get good preparation as they roll into the playoffs and be ready for some of the challenges they might face. But that you're looking at that schedule, and it's like, wow. There's going to be some good lacrosse being played, some good opponents, and it's going to bring out the best in the Wildcats and to help prepare the team for the start of the section playoffs and hopefully a run to the state tournament. Apple Valley gets a goal, second goal of the night.
4 minutes remaining. Second goal of the night, as Scott mentioned, for the Cats. No, you look at, we talk about that. We go to Simley tomorrow night, and then that following week of 3 games turns into a run of 6 games, 5 or 6 games, and that's how you want to finish. I mean, whether you're in positions of domination, whether you're in positions of execution, you come out of that 5 or 6 game stretch, no matter what, you are ready to play anybody in the section tournament.
Absolutely. And hey, in what'll be 15 days, you'll play 1, 2, 3, and possibly a 4th top 10 team.
Yeah, absolutely. The schedule is favorable for trying to get yourself ready for a section tournament.
Yeah, and you to some degree, the schedules are predetermined, and you can't dictate everything you want. This schedule was a little, we talked about earlier, some good early tests, a little bit of a lull, and then comes the fun, right? And the players know that, the coaching staff knows that, the fans. There's already a little bit of a buzz about it amongst the supporters here in the stadium about, the big game's coming on Monday, right? And it's, that the winner of that game Monday certainly will have a leg up on a spot, the South Suburban Conference Championship. Lots of lacrosse left to be played. We still have Prior Lake, Rosemount, Lakeville North. We'll still see South, and I don't know the details of their schedule, but so we'll certainly. It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be a lot of fun as we come down this stretch.
23-2 Wildcats at Apple Valley Stadium over the Eagles. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this contest. Not a lot of surprises. I think it's been a relatively clean game, kind of penalty-free. Again, the Wildcats are trying to just grind this out and then get ready to go over across town. We got a penalty upcoming with the 2-minute mark just passing by. We'll see what the infraction is. I'm going to guess it's going to be against a Wildcat.
Yeah, based on where the flag came from and the situation on the field.
So it's going to be an interesting several days of lacrosse for the Cats. But, again, we can't stress it enough. Whether or not we're executing, whether or not we're game planning to get back into a zone or a mode, you could not ask for a more favorable schedule to prepare you to maybe head into a very important, obviously, section tournament.
Yep, and it's about being prepared. And people talk about playing for seeds and all this stuff, and at the end of the day, it's your body of work, your experience, what you accumulate, and how you're prepared to get to that point, that peaking at the right time, and can you be ready to make a run at that time of the year? And that's what this is all about. And there's as I've been talking to folks around about lacrosse, there's some teams lose a couple games here and there, and people are like, oh, they're done. It's like, no, they're not. There's a lot of lacrosse left to be played,
yep.
right? 1 or 2 losses at this point in the year doesn't end your season. Everybody goes to the section playoffs, and we haven't spent a lot of time dissecting the sectional potential matchup and stuff. We can do that over the next week, but some sections there are made up a little differently. Some will have a tougher path to state than others, but it's a one game playoff situation when you get to the sections. And
sure.
Look, there can be upsets, right? It doesn't matter who you are or what your seed is or what your record is. Talking about the Prior Lake Eastview section final from 2017, right, is a case in point of that. I don't think anyone would have given Prior Lake a chance in that game, and they got the job done.
I think Thrall is going to run that ball for the shot as the air raid siren goes off, signifying the end of the contest. Tonight's game between the Eagan Wildcats and the Apple Valley Eagles, the final 23-2, and we will be coming back to you in just a very short, about 22 hours.
Yeah,
we'll be over at Simley to do it all over again. So, Scott, in closing, I think we established no surprises.
No.
Pretty well-rounded game by
yep.
the Wildcats. We just have to methodically move our way through this schedule, whether it's in Apple Valley
yep.
or whether it's a Simley, or again on Monday when we start a little bit more of a different complected stretch of schedule
yep.
as we go and play the North Panthers.
Yeah, we thought stay sharp, stay crisp, stay good. A lot of people got on the field tonight. A lot of people got some experience. That's what you do in a game like this. And you say, good job, guys, big win, move on. Tomorrow night, we
yep.
got another game coming up. And, yeah, we'll be back on the air in 22 hours.
Absolutely.
A lot of work to be done in the broadcast booth here. We're hopefully collecting some overtime checks.
I think that'd be nice. Hey, listen, folks, we appreciate you being along for the ride. Special thanks to the Eagan TV crew. Very helpful this lacrosse season. This is Ken Scott and the Eagan TV crew saying so long. We'll see you from Inver Grove Heights tomorrow night.